Bible surprises in 30 minutes. Why there should be more exclamation marks in this unique book. Writer, church pastor and Bible teacher Mike Beaumont explains all to David Taverner.
In our previous series, Bible Biogs in 30 minutes and Bible Books in 30 minutes, there have been a number of times where we've needed to pause, I think, and say to ourselves, have we actually read that right? It seems as if it needs an exclamation mark sometimes in the story. And so I think the idea behind this series, Mike, this new series, Bible Surprises in 30 minutes, is to do just that, isn't it? Just to sort of pause every now and again.
Yeah, we're going to dip back into some of those stories that we've looked at in our previous two series. So there'll be little bits of overlap here and there, I'm sure. But as you said, we want to look at the exclamation marks where something happens that is really surprising. Of course, they're always surprises for the people involved in the story or for us as readers of the story. Never a surprise for God himself, of course, who oversees everything, knows the beginning from the end, knows all the possibilities of what would happen if people did this or that. And here's the amazing thing, still has a plan up his sleeve to be able to bring his purposes about.
Is it fair to say that it would be fairly easy to read the Bible and skip past parts of stories and sections and not quite appreciate what we've actually just read, either the enormity of what's happened or the significance of what's happened?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, some of the surprises are pretty evident. If a choir of angels suddenly appears when you weren't expecting them, or walls of a city fall down as you are marching around it, blasting your trumpets and singing out with your choir. But some perhaps aren't the things we would expect. I mean, even things like when Messiah is born, when God comes into this world, where do we find him? We find him lying in a feeding trough, an animal feeding trough. Some of the surprises are things that God warned people about, but they didn't take him seriously. Maybe they thought, oh, God's too nice to do that. So right at the beginning of the Bible, the surprise of God saying, don't eat the fruit from that tree or there will be consequences. And Adam and Eve thinking, no, surely there won't be. And we do see the surprise unfolding. So we're going to get all sorts of surprises in this series. Some that are wow, some that are who would have thought that? But again, every single one of them, not a surprise for the God who is behind them all.
I guess it's fair to say that some people find it unbelievable, actually, some of these surprises. They just can't get beyond what's being said.
Yes, and we'll see in this series, some of the surprises seem, if you like, natural, unusual, but natural, like when an army suddenly is decimated overnight as plague seems to sweep through it. So certainly unexpected, but not outside the realms of possibility. Some of them do seem to be quite exceptional. What about that talking donkey we'll get to at some point in the series, or this serpent creature that tempts Adam and Eve? But I think as we get into this series and unpack them, we'll see that behind them, God always has a purpose. And one of the things I always think about is, people sometimes say, oh, the Bible's just full of make-believe fables and stories. Actually, the really, really exceptional things like the talking donkey are very, very unusual in the Bible. It's not like these are on every page. These are exceptional events for exceptional times when God has tried everything to get through with his message and still can't. And so he uses the unusual and exceptional. And why shouldn't he? After all, as one of the Psalms tells us, the earth is the Lord's and everything in it. So he can use everything for his surprises.
You've read the Bible, no doubt, many, many times. Are you still surprised?
Oh, I am, David. As you said, I've read it many, many times indeed. And I have to say, there are still times when I read the Bible and think, I've forgotten that bit, because it's such a book full of so many details. And I think the nature of the Bible, it's so different to every other book. I love reading novels when I'm on holiday. Give me a great novel to read, and I'm really getting into it. But the Bible is not just a novel. It claims to be a book that's been inspired by the Holy Spirit. So although it has 66 books written by over 40 different authors, and although it was written over such a long period of time, there is this one consistent message that comes out of God reaching out to his people. And because it is, or claims to be, an inspired book, that means that God's Holy Spirit so worked on its writers that what they wrote were exactly what he wanted written to communicate his heart and his story. Because it's a Holy Spirit inspired book, we can still read this book, and even bits that we've read many times, the Holy Spirit can still surprise us by perhaps underlining a word, a thought, an insight that we'd never seen before. So I can read passages that I've read hundreds, thousands of times and still get surprised because the Holy Spirit suddenly underlines something, helps me to see something I'd just not seen with that angle before. And it's always just the right thing for the right day in the right circumstance. And that's what makes the Bible such an exciting book and still so relevant for today.
So we're going to have 52 conversations on different themes, working our way through the Bible. I mean, I suppose if it's 52 surprises as themes, we're scratching the surface, really.
Oh, absolutely. And when I sat down to work out what our 52 surprises would be, the hard job was not finding 52 surprises. The hard job was reducing it to 52 surprises and constantly having to think, oh, I'm going to have to miss that one out. Oh, I can't put that one in. The Bible is full of surprises from start to finish. Some of them expected, some of them unexpected. Of course, the whole thing about a surprise is that really it does end up being unexpected, because even if you expected it, it turns out to be different to what you expected. So, yeah, 52, we're just scratching the surface. But I hope we'll be giving people enough to think, I really need to start digging into this book more for myself.
And would you say, in conclusion, that there's a sort of theme here in the sense that God's not going to be surprised by any of these surprises, but we need to be surprised?
Yes, absolutely. The picture we get of God in the Bible is, it has this picture of him seated on his throne, which in the language of the time meant the one who is in control, the one who is in charge, the monarch, the king, the ruler in the old sense of that word. And so God is never surprised. I don't think he's surprised even by the foolishness of people, by the actions of people. But here's one of the things that's so different about the Christian God, say, to the Islamic God, where God, Allah, has a will, and that will is always driven through, come what may, and all you can do is submit to it. The God of the Bible is far more interactive. And the picture we get of him is a God who knows all the what ifs and what thens and has a plan for each one of them. You go this way, that's okay. I can surprise you and bring you back to where I want you to be to further my purposes. Someone ends up going that way instead. That's okay. God has plans for that as well. So he's incredibly interactive, knowing all the what ifs and what whens, and has this incredible plan that he's bringing out through all of them. So for him, the outcome never a surprise. And sometimes he'll give us a little glimpse of those surprises to come through the voice of the prophets, for example. For us, a surprise. For God, never a surprise.
You've been listening to Mike Beaumont in conversation with David Taverner. Bible Surprises in 30 Minutes is a United Christian Broadcasters production. For more about UCB, go to ucb.co.uk.